Hello, and welcome to the Ilene Silverman Show. I'm your host, Ilene, and on this week's program, our guests, Phil Kabler and Tommy Lane, represent CDS Family and Behavioral Health Services. We learn about their successful 53-year history and the many new opportunities that allow them to continue their mission, empowering youth and building strong families. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. I'm delighted to introduce my guests. Philip Kabler, Chief Executive Officer, CDS, Family and Behavioral Health Services, and Thomas Lane, Board of Directors President for CDS. And Phil and Tommy, it's great to have you both here.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just really looking forward to this opportunity to talk about CDS and your history and all the things going forward, because it was once a very important part of my life here in Gainesville when I emceed your Spotlight on Youth fundraiser for many years. We'll talk about that, talk about that later. But I did many Ilene Silverman shows we put together to benefit CDS, and so this is a great opportunity. Phil, it's good to see you again. Last time you were here, we were discussing another topic.
Right.
And now you've turned a corner.
Correct.
But so let's talk about a little bit of the history of, as you said, you can just say CDS instead of adding on Family and Behavioral Health Services because it gets lengthy. But so why CDS? Let's go back to the early history and explain it.
Well,
Tommy.
53 years ago, the organization began, and as you can remember, that was the early stages of the drug epidemic, the drug pandemic in colleges, and so it was started here as the corner drugstore.
Right.
And had its roots there, and grew from there to where now we're primarily prevention instead of drug rehab.
Right.
It's primarily prevention.
Right.
My involvement goes back 20 years because I knew the former CEO, Jim Pierce, and when he took over, he invited me to stay on the board, and it's one of those things that
And you're still there.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Wait, how long have you been president?
15 years.
Okay, I keep
Yes,
seeing,
yes.
I know
Yes.
you've held that title,
Yes.
and rightly so for a long time. You've
Yes,
done a great job. And Phil, you're new at being CEO.
Yes.
You came on what?
About a year.
About a year. But now I find out you've interacted for years with CDS.
I've been involved with CDS for about 28, 29 years.
Right, so I can see where you both have your heart and passion in this.
That's true. In fact, Jim Pierce was our CEO for 25 years.
Oh,
And when he announced his retirement, some of us on the board thought it was really critical that we find someone who had some institutional knowledge and some history. And so I went to Phil. He was on the board, and I said, I think you're the right one. Well, I was not very persuasive. And he said no, which is probably my least favorite word,
of course,
in the English language. So I let that play for a while, and at Jim Pierce's retirement dinner, I approached Phil and said, you have to do this. You have to do this. The organization is that important. And so here we are.
And
Right.
A+, because
A+.
you're leading CDS, both of you, into the future. And you cover, 14 counties? You have a huge area.
14 counties, all of the 3rd Judicial Circuit up to Georgia. all of the 8th Judicial Circuit, and Palatka in Putnam County in the 7th. We don't do all of our services in every one of those counties.
Right, I understand.
But we touch every one of those counties.
Okay, that's a lot to take on.
100+ employees.
Oh, a lot of people, certainly grown since the time I used to visit your offices. But you still are committed to, okay, what is it? Empowering youth and families, building strong families for a brighter tomorrow.
Correct.
And then Phil, you have another line that's kind of come up a little more current.
Yeah, we help real people
Right.
together.
Yes.
And we even have a little hashtag that's We Are CDS.
Well, that's a good cap. That says it all. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk much more about all that CDS is doing for this community and beyond. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about CDS with Tommy and Phil. And gentlemen, I see you have the passion for what you do. That's evident. So, but why? Why all these years? Help us understand, what is CDS? Why do you do what you do?
Well, my roots are so deep in Gainesville. My family moved here in 1870.
Okay, that's
And
longevity.
It is, and I'm a product of the public schools system, Gainesville High School, University of Florida. What drew me to this was the service that they do for kids in a vulnerable age, middle school, high school,
Right.
at a time when they are dealing with things I didn't have to deal with.
Yes.
Things
I
are
mean,
different now.
Yes,
They're
as we've
different
said.
now.
The world
And-
has changed.
And we deal with those kids who are in extreme circumstances.
And getting them right when you can make a difference.
And as we've talked, if you make a slight difference in trajectory at age 10 or 12,
Right.
it creates a completely different landing spot at age 40. The delta is much greater. So to get them at that point where they're most vulnerable and where they can't do anything about it,
Well, that's true.
to step in and offer them the opportunity to wind up productive members of society,
With a good quality life.
a good quality of life, a family of their own, the ability to
It's what we all want.
participate economically.
Exactly.
And that's extremely important. And quite frankly, it's a really good ROI on the tax money that it takes to do that, because they wind up contributing to the tax base.
Yes, prevention.
Prevention.
Let's turn the corner into
Exactly
a positive
right.
life, not
And
the
that-
other way around, like you said.
And that's
where
what we've
we
been
have to
doing
take care of people.
for 50 years.
Yeah.
So,
Phil, I know you agree with much of this, but what in your heart with all these programs and services?
Well, let me tell you about the programs. So we deal with youth. We deal with children, youth, families, and young adults through our programs. And that's in the 14 counties that we serve. We deal with youth who are truant, runaway, depends upon the term you like, defiant
Right.
or ungovernable, youth who are homeless, runaways, and trafficked. So as Tommy said, we deal with some of the most vulnerable children and families. And the earlier we can work with them, the better. So we've got a variety of different settings. People know us typically for our shelters,
Right.
our youth shelters. We
Right.
have one in Gainesville, Lake City, and Palatka. But inside those, and then afterwards, and then outside, we have what are called wrap-around services. Those are
Okay.
youth, children, youth, and families counseling one-on-one, in groups in the shelter, with families outside. And then we've got a variety of behavioral prevention programs. In the schools, we have one called Too Good for Drugs, Too Good for Violence.
Right.
And then there's a middle school version as well. We're in several schools, many schools in Alachua County, also in Levy and Gilchrist County. And then we've got a program that we're really well known for. It's small, but it's mighty. It's called SNAP, Stop Now and Plan. It's a family program for children basically in the elementary school area.
Right.
And so it's in the offices, it's in the schools, it's in civic centers around as well. It's what's called an evidence-based curriculum, so it's very structured, and it teaches the youth and the parents how to communicate, basically, to engage in behavioral
important.
modification. And we've just expanded into Lake City, the 3rd Judicial Circuit. So the program's good in Gainesville, and we're moving it there. And then we also
Wow.
have
I mean,
our,
this is so impressive and so important. Keep going.
it's the people who work for us who are impressive and do the work. And
They
we've
do
got-
this.
And we've got
They have
community-
to have the passion to do this.
We've got the community counseling, and they also engage with the parents in their homes,
Right.
in schools, in a
Meet
fast
them on
food
their
restaurant,
terms.
right, meet them where they are. And then we've got another program that's a little bit of a tangent, but it's not. We deal with youth who are aging out of foster care, they're a little bit older.
Right.
It's called independent living,
Independent living.
and we help them take the life skills to
The next step.
to live as adults, to to do
Right.
what Tommy said. I mean, ultimately, we're not a school preparedness program, and we're not a workforce readiness program, but we're a school readiness program, and we're a school preparedness and a workforce readiness program. Doing our job right, as Tommy has said, and we're all of one on this, we produce productive, happy, healthy, and whole young adults. And it
Right.
can
To
take
go
some work to
forward
get
in
there.
their life. And that is, as we said, that's what everyone wants for their families, for themselves, for the whole of our community. Makes us all better. And we're going to take another quick break. Thank you very much. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about CDS, Family and Behavioral Health Services. And, okay, Tommy, Phil, you got some wonderful things coming. Turning the corner for CDS. New horizons. Share with us what's next.
I sure will. Over the years, we had several physical locations. We had our shelter
Right.
behind McDonald's on Northwest 13th Street. We had our main office for years on 6th Street. And then, 12, 15 years ago, we bought the large building on Southwest 13th Street.
Right.
So we were scattered.
Yes.
It has been a vision of the organization for many years that we have a place to have a campus.
Yes, bring
to
it all
consolidate, bring it all together. So probably 6 years ago, this was resurrected, and Jim Pierce and I began to work with Keith Perry and Chuck Clemens.
Right.
And last year, they were successful in getting us an appropriation, significant appropriation for the building of a brand new shelter, which we can
Congratulations.
see here.
Yes.
Then where to put it, right?
Okay, yes, that's
Okay,
another-
so I go back to Keith and to Chuck and say, would you help us find some free property?
Right. We need a spot.
And lo and behold, we now have a 12-acre campus on Northeast 39th Avenue, just east of the airport.
Right.
And we will break
Perfect.
ground in about a month on this brand new shelter. And
Congratulations.
it's a really big deal.
Oh, this is a huge
It's a huge deal. So
I'm very proud for all of you and your board of directors, all the people that are part of CDS for many years. I mean, this is a huge turning
it's a
point.
huge turning point, and our vision is to consolidate not only all of our programs out there eventually, but also to make space available on the 12
Right.
acres for synergistic organizations who need a place to go and maybe can't afford to buy the land.
Right, and one of the things you always say, CDS is very aware of making sure the youth get to the proper, opportunities, even if you can't provide all of
Partnering.
it. Yeah, you partner.
Yes.
You have a lot of good
We are
partners.
not a closed-door agency.
Correct.
No,
Correct.
you just
Even
want
if-
everyone to succeed.
Even if we can't help somebody, we will get them
The help.
where they can provide the help.
Yes, and I think that's very important. And so Phil, when you
Yes.
look at this, we see the outside, it's a thumbs up, but what's going on inside?
Okay, well, the reason that we're doing this as well is the current shelter that Tommy mentioned behind the McDonald's,
Right.
it was built in 1950. And it's been expanded and it's been rehabbed and it's been refurbished.
You've
and
done all you could.
It is now, it's now a medical issue to itself. We've been spending lots of time and frankly money that we could use on the kids on keeping that building
I visited there.
stable.
Yeah.
So, goal one, the program remains the same. It still has to be homey. It still has to be comfortable, just like it is, I mean, it's still homey and comfortable now. It's just a building that's past its prime. So
Exactly.
inside, there are going to be some changes, but not. Still a 20-bed shelter. Instead of bunks in smaller rooms, now it's going to be a little bit more dorm-like. So it
Okay.
depends on, beds on the ground. There's a male side, there's a female side, and we've got classrooms, dining room. We've got a large multi-purpose room, and we're going to develop as well outside a recreation area, like a basketball court, something like that.
This is good.
And our vision further is to make it a little bit more self-sustaining by putting solar panels on the roof to help cut down electricity costs and also the load on the environment in the area. So we're looking beyond just our own walls
Right,
as well.
you want to
But
be sustainable and be aware
Yes.
of your environment.
yes,
And so how many people might you be able to serve? How many youth? Is there a
Well, we
way
can-
to even know yet, or?
well, it can take up to 20 youth at a time.
Okay,
But it never really is that much because of staffing. We've got certain laws about ratios of adult to
Right.
youth, but we can take up to 20. We will be able to take up to 20 youth.
oh, that's out.
Still are, but
Right, it is outstanding. I mean, I applaud you. This
We have
is-
two more of these shelters, one in Lake City and
City.
one in Palatka.
Right,
But this one was the oldest in terms of the structure, and we got all the goodie from it that was possible.
yes, you've wrung it out to the
So
max.
we
Now
have.
we're turning the
We
next
have.
corner. Good for both of you and everyone. We're going to take another quick break. Stay with us. We will be right back. We're talking about CDS, and Phil and Tommy. First, congratulations on the future and your successful past, as a matter of fact. Okay, so how do you keep all of this going? And there's a lot.
Well, there is a lot, and most of it comes down to our staff, the dedicated people who really have a sense of calling for what they're doing, and
Agreed.
and they do a really good job. In our work, in the program CDS does, we're measured by results, and the results have been spectacular for a long time, which means that we've been able to offer the services, to interdict in people's lives, to make a difference. The staff is the
Right.
credit for that. The other part is management. So you have programs that work because of
Right.
staff, then you have a management team that did a very good job, and now we've handed that off to Phil, who is the right person.
I agree.
Exactly. So
The
we
right
are
person, the right time.
exactly right. So we're strong financially, we're
Right.
strong programmatically, we're strong from a staff standpoint, and we're strong managerially. That's a pretty good formula for a really successful 501c3.
I agree. And you all are bonded by that same mission
Correct.
to empower youth and build strong families.
Make people's lives
And-
better.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes. Turning positive corners. And so, Phil,
Well, the core management team that I work with are very smart, very dedicated. I work very closely with a small group, and you never want to mention one name because you're going to
I know,
forget,
leave
but
someone out.
everybody else, I'm thinking of you, but I work very closely with who I call my partner in the organization, Cindy Starling Hersey. She's our Chief Operations Officer. She actually used to run very well the Palatka shelter. So she came to us
Okay.
from Shelter World. And she was appointed not long before I was hired. So they 2 new people, as Tommy said. But a lot of the credit, and more now, is our board of directors. It's a stable board. We have some members who've been on it for quite a while, the core members, but we've added a number of folks from the community. And they are doing a lot of interesting things. They're out in the community now. They're helping us develop ways that we can get out there, like the rebranding that you
Right.
saw with our new logo.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
our new
It's very
mission
positive.
statement, right? And they are helping us with regard to, let's be real, fundraising.
Right, I
in
mean,
the
you gotta keep it
communities.
going, that's
Yes.
another way you,
And so what we
succeed.
do, so we've got a lot of folks in the community who are very, equally passionate in their own way
exactly.
to be on the board.
And building more bridges
Very well known
into
people.
the community for you.
We have a number of folks now from the business community, the strong business community, and we're expanding to get the folks from our other areas. It's not just a Gainesville organization. One other thing that we've done is we've expanded our social media presence.
Oh, yes,
We've got
great
a-
Facebook page,
Yes, we've got
Yes.
great website.
the website is www.cdsfl.org, and from there you can connect to our active Facebook page and also our Instagram. We have a second Facebook page for our SNAP program. It has its own standalone. But
Great.
to make it easier for everybody, if you want to partner with us, you want to participate, there's a little button at the top, donate now.
Right.
Very easy. We try to make it easy for
Yep,
everybody.
I saw that.
But we appreciate the support of the community, the communities, 14 counties, very different areas of the state. We appreciate the support every way we get it, from the business community, from the government partners, from the school partners, from the university, from Santa Fe and its other peer community colleges in the area.
Right.
They're not called that anymore, but them. And so we're always looking to expand our profile, our presence.
Well said, Phil. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you, and certainly you, Tommy, and all the people that are part of CDS, making it happen for our youth and families, and as you say, building towards a brighter tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's our pleasure,
Thank you for having us.
certainly. And I'm so glad that you tuned in, and I hope you will join us next time. Take care.